Any shooter worth their salt probably has a Ruger 1022. It's an extraordinarily versatile platform. They make a bunch of different versions of it, and one of my personal favorites is the Ruger 1022 Takedown. However, it's got a few shortcomings. I really don't like the heavy bull barrel on here. I know that a lot of guys do if they want to do any kind of competition style shooting, but as a backpack gun that splits in half, I would rather have something that's a little bit lighter and not as focused on extreme accuracy. Plus the weight of it is just a little bit too much for little kids to learn how to shoot a gun on. So as much as I appreciate it having a threaded barrel and being able to suppress it and all the cool stuff that Ruger does to it, I decided to dress mine up a little bit. So what we're going to do today is we're going to upgrade our 1022 Takedown with quite a few parts that are out there and easily accessible in the market. So first of which is the Magpul X-22 Backpacker stock. I got this one on FDE. I like the look of it. I like that it splits in half and it's got the little storage container behind the cheek rest. I'm not a huge fan of the stock trigger on here. I did want to go with a Timney Trigger that's got a lot better take up, creep, much crisper break, and then also the mag release on there. Needs optics. Of course, I turned to Vortex there. And then as far as the barrel and getting rid of that weight, rather than adding another 6-inch of suppressor on top of a heavy barrel, I decided we're going to go with the Gemtech Mist 22. So keep the whole thing around 16 inches, but incredibly light. Now taking these things apart is extraordinarily easy. First off, make sure it's unloaded. We're going to set the receiver end over here. All you need is one tool, an Allen set. So take your 5/32 and start unscrewing here. It's going to feel like it gave way, right? It's going to feel like it's hand tight, but actually keep unscrewing because the handguard is threaded. So once you get that guy all the way out, you just pull the old handguard off and set it off to the side. Now with this, when you're taking off the barrel block, make sure you push this in and hold on to it. Otherwise, you may be looking for this guy somewhere on that side of the room. Slide your spring out, and then with your Allen set, tackle the two hexes that are inside here. Once you have your barrel block off, I just go ahead and leave the screws in there. Makes it easy to put the next one on. Set that bull barrel off to the side, and then grab your mist. Line this up accordingly, and screw those hexes back in. Now grab your X-22. Just kind of line that up. Grab your screw and start threading. All right. Now that is extraordinarily light. Night and day difference. This is probably 50% of the weight. Way lighter than the barrel itself. All right, set that off to the side. Now we're going to grab the receiver side of this. Pull your magazine out. Same hex screw right here. And now the trick here is set your safety somewhere in between safe and fire so that it'll slide through that stock. Punching the pins out is extraordinarily simple. One of them actually fell out when I took that out, so just punch your trigger pins through. There you go. And then your trigger assembly comes out. Set that off to the side. We're going to take the Timney. And just line up your holes. Pretty easy to see right there. Slide your trigger assembly pins in. Make sure they're flush. Once you got the trigger assembly back together, get it back in here. Making sure that your safety is somewhere between safe and fire so that it fits through the bottom of that stock there. It sits in place really nicely. Actually, that's a really good fit. Want to make sure that this gap's closed up a little bit, and then we'll do a little function test. Make sure safety works, and we're good to go. All right, make sure that your hole's lined up. Put everything back together. Make sure it cycles, dry fire. Let's go ahead and grab our Vortex. Now technically it's actually more accurate to get a different barrel block. It's got a Picatinny rail or some kind of mounting solution up here. Keep your sight affixed to your bore axis because when you take these on and off, technically they can get a little bit off kilter. But for this particular build, I'm not too worried about it because this is meant to be a very short, very light, very quiet kind of backup backpack hunting gun, mainly for teaching kids to shoot and stuff like that. I would say that the entire gun weighs less than the barrel alone. This thing is pretty awesome. Well, I'm excited to go put a couple rounds through it and tell you what I think, but wanted to point out a couple really cool features about this. It does have this extra compartment back here. You can store magazines, you can store, fire solutions, tools, whatever you want. Equally as neat, underneath here, you've actually got a waterproof container with an O-ring around it, so you can store any water sensitive and stuff up there. So kindling kit or matches or something like that if you're using this as like a survival gun. I love this Timney setup. One of the biggest pains in the ass about standard Ruger 1022s is trying to get the damn magazine out. The button up there and trying to get your finger in here and wedge that thing out of there. This is extremely simple. It just falls right out. The trigger feel is really good as well. Nice and crisp. Just a single stage. And then this suppressor is badass. Gemtech did a really, really good job with this Mist 22. Essentially, you've got about that much barrel, and the rest is baffle stack, all monocore. All in all, man, I'm very, very happy with this build. This thing looks badass, shrinks up, very nice. All right, guys, we've got our 1022 build all together here. We've got some Blazer supersonic. Let's see how it sounds. Definitely a crack, but super quiet. I mean, you can hear it cracking the sound barrier out there and kind of echoing off the canyon. But this thing is super light, man. I'm very, very happy with how this thing turned out. The trigger's awesome. Timney did a really good job with this. And the release is fantastic. I love that. All right, we've got some CCI subsonics here. Let's see how these run. That is Hollywood quiet. So freaking cool. So that second to last round, the empty shell hitting the metal chair was louder than the actual projectile. And that dry fire was as loud as the previous round. Yeehaw! All right, subsonics. This thing is so damn quiet. Love it. So I'm shooting about 130 yards and the bullet is dropping about 1.5 feet below my point of aim with the red dot. I haven't even sighted this in. You guys saw me build it. So I'm actually impressed at the lack of bullet drop with those subsonics. This thing kicks ass. I'm so happy with how this thing turned out. Magpul did a kick-ass job with this stock. Timney did a phenomenal job with the trigger. The only thing I'd caution you is if you're shooting it, maybe hold your middle finger right here so you don't accidentally hit that if you're wearing gloves or you've got bigger hands. Other than that, makes getting the magazines out super easy. The trigger feels awesome. Vortex, always a phenomenal job. And then of course, this Gemtech Mist 22 is super badass. Makes it unbelievably quiet and unbelievably light. I mean, this whole gun weighs less than the barrel did on it in its previous configuration. So I'm super stoked with this thing. Really glad that I spent the money and put this thing together because it is an awesome build. And I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. Teaching the kids how to shoot. And then of course, being that light and that compact. So thank you to Silencer Shop for loaning out the Mist 22. I think I'm gonna get one of these for myself now. Magpul did a great job on this. Vortex as always, and Timney. Y'all are in my top companies I love to work with. So thank you guys for great products, and thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time on the Bullet Points.